2025 is no doubt shaping up to be a blockbuster year for hip-hop. After everything that went down in the genre this past year, it's clear we're at the new dawn of a new era. While there are a few artists locked in for massive success this year, one name stands head and shoulders above the rest, and you know him well. His name is Kendrick Lamar. Right now, nobody in hip-hop or the music industry as a whole can touch the wavelength Kendrick is operating on. He's miles ahead of his competitors, and 2025 looks primed to be a record-breaking year for him. Remember when we told you GNX was just the tip of the iceberg compared to what Kendrick had planned for this year? Well, at the time, some doubted the idea that Kendrick would drop another album, especially with the massive record-breaking success GNX has been enjoying since it came out. Well, here's the deal. We now have even more confirmation that K-Dot is indeed cooking something big behind the scenes. GNX was merely the appetizer, a perfect introduction to the massive project Kendrick is poised to unleash anytime soon. But before we dive into all the juicy details that confirm Kendrick's big ambitions for 2025, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It's a small gesture that means the world to us. Now, while Drake has been endlessly postponing his long-announced joint project with his signee, Kendrick has been busy making massive moves. I mean, massive exploits. GNX continues to break and set records almost daily, yet K-Dot isn't satisfied. Even after being the undisputed MVP of hip-hop in 2024, achieving milestones most A-list rappers could only dream of, Kendrick seems hungrier than ever. He could easily retreat into the shadows and bask in GNX's success, but that's not his style, at least not anymore. Instead, it looks like he's determined to outdo himself and eclipse the incredible heights he reached last year, a feat that would be nothing short of insane if he pulls it off. With the way things are lining up, Kendrick is on track to have one of the most dominant runs any rapper has ever had in hip-hop history. Between his upcoming Super Bowl performance, the Grand National Stadium Tour, and growing speculation about a clean sweep at the Grammys, 2025 could be a monumental year for K-Dot. Even legendary artists like Eminem, who has his own project competing with Kendrick's at the Grammys, are predicting a clean sweep for Kendrick, and they're saying it would be well deserved. I'm sure many of you will agree with that sentiment as well. Right now, no one in hip-hop has a schedule as perfectly curated or as powerful as Kendrick's. The milestones he's set to achieve this year are staggering to say the least, and barring any unexpected setbacks, he's likely to accomplish them all. That's why there's no better time for him to drop new music, even with GNX still racking up insane numbers. From the latest whispers coming out from top sources in K-Dot's camp to discussions among reputable industry insiders, we're more confident than ever that another body of work is on the way. Of course, one thing no one can predict is when Kendrick will decide to release it. By now, we all know Kendrick moves on his own terms, especially with music. Just like GNX, this new project will likely drop when we least expect it. Based on projections and the current landscape of the music industry, the general consensus is that Kendrick will release his new album by February at the latest. This prediction stems from the fact that two of the industry's biggest stars, The Weeknd and Bad Bunny, are set to drop their projects sometime in January. Now, don't get it twisted, Kendrick could absolutely go toe-to-toe with these heavyweights, even though he is a hip-hop artist, especially if we're talking numbers. But the real reason Kendrick likely won't release alongside them is a strategic one. Both The Weeknd and Bad Bunny are signed to UMG, the same label as Kendrick. There's no way the label would risk having three of its biggest artists competing for attention at the same time. It wouldn't make any sense, right? Interestingly, February is shaping up to be a wide open month with no major releases on the horizon. It's almost as if the entire industry is stepping back to give Kendrick the space to shine, and for good reason. For those who don't know, February is set to be historic, not just for Kendrick, but for hip-hop as a whole. The biggest award show in the music industry, the Grammys, is coming up, and it's bringing together some of the most iconic names in the game. We're talking J. Cole, Eminem, Andre 3000, Ye, Future, and of course, Kendrick Lamar himself. Despite being nominated alongside these legends in almost every major category, Kendrick is without a doubt the clear favorite to do a clean sweep or something very close to it. So what we're trying to say is don't be surprised when he walks away with armfuls of trophies. I mean, it will be well deserved anyway, but the Grammys are just one part of Kendrick's February takeover. His highly anticipated Super Bowl performance is also on the horizon, and there's no doubt it's going to be a spectacle. Kendrick knows the whole world is watching, and if anyone can deliver, it's him. Here's where things get even more interesting. We just found out that the physical version of Kendrick's GNX album has now been confirmed to ship during Super Bowl week. For those unfamiliar, physical versions include CDs, vinyl, and cassettes. This timing means the sales from these physical copies will count toward the same week Kendrick performs live at the Super Bowl. Considering the massive streaming numbers GNX has already racked up, these physical sales could push an additional 300 to 500,000 units if we are being moderate. Combine that with the inevitable streaming boost from his Super Bowl performance, and K-Dot is on track to have one of the biggest sales weeks in hip-hop history. Originally, the physical versions of GNX were scheduled to ship in March. Moving them up to February likely indicates a switch in plans, and that means we won't be getting a full new album around that time of the Super Bowl. So, our February prediction might be a little off, but that's no surprise when it comes to Kendrick. Kendrick is the most unpredictable artist in the game. He almost always moves on his own clock. Now, while this new project was rumored to feature top-tier artists from across the globe, unlike the contrasting heavy West Coast influence on GNX, it seems like it might not see the light of day anytime soon. It's safe to say no one, not even Kendrick, could have predicted just how massive GNX would become. Kendrick has always been a hitmaker, and that's no doubt, but GNX is operating on a completely different level. From tracks like Squabble Up and TV Off to Luther, the album is packed with so much classic material, it feels like a once-in-a-generation masterpiece. The momentum this project has generated is mind-blowing, easily the biggest the hip-hop world has seen in a long time, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Given this incredible success, it's quite understandable why Kendrick wouldn't want to rush into releasing another huge project. Fans are still digesting the feast he served us just weeks ago. Instead, all signs point toward Kendrick following up GNX with a deluxe version rather than an entirely new album like we had initially anticipated, and honestly, this makes perfect sense if you think about it. If you could remember what some of the West Coast rappers who worked with Kendrick on GNX mentioned, they all revealed that far more songs were recorded than the ones that made the final cut. This strongly hints that Kendrick has additional material ready to go, songs that could easily form the backbone of a deluxe edition. Add to that the decision to move up the shipping date for the physical copies of GNX to align with Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, and it's not hard to think there's more to these physical copies. Kendrick might be planning to take a page out of the Tyler the Creator playbook with his album Chromacopia, where Tyler included alternate versions and previously unreleased features in the album's physical copies. Let's not forget the GNX rollout trailer and those 2 GNX cars parked in the empty garage. It always felt symbolic, almost like Kendrick was hinting at a twin version of the project. Then there are lyrics like the line in Squabble Up where he says, "Hit his turf and get crackin', double back like a deluxe." That line alone could be all the confirmation we need that Kendrick has another version of GNX up his sleeve. While we don't know for sure how Kendrick plans to execute his plans, he's left enough breadcrumbs for us to believe that something big is coming. If this deluxe version leans even further into Kendrick's West Coast roots, it's bound to be incredible because we've seen how he killed the original version. The timing of the physical copy shipping during Super Bowl week can't just be a coincidence. It's looking like a strategic move. Kendrick is likely planning to use the massive momentum from his performance to deliver something extraordinary for his fans, while simultaneously expanding his reach to new audiences. I mean, it makes perfect sense. With an album that's already dominating the charts, a deluxe edition is the natural next step for Kendrick to grow his fanbase and break new ground. While the original GNX featured relatively low-key but immensely talented West Coast artists, the deluxe version could take things up a notch, potentially bringing in some of TDE's biggest stars. And here's the most intriguing part. Insider rumors suggest that the physical copies will have a runtime of about an hour. That almost guarantees that there will be new material included. If you're lucky enough to snag a physical copy, you might just be the first to experience the deluxe before it hits streaming platforms. When you look at everything Kendrick is setting up for the months ahead, it's hard to believe the GNX Deluxe album will be the last we hear from him for a while. In the past, it might have been easy to assume Kendrick would drop a deluxe and step back for a bit. He has always done that, but this isn't the same Kendrick we've seen before. The momentum he's already built, coupled with the leadership role he's embraced in hip-hop, has shifted everything. Kendrick is now steering the genre, and there's no slowing down. I'm sure that highly anticipated album fans and insider sources have been buzzing about is still in his plans. There's no way he's shelving it. A summer release seems likely more than ever, as it will perfectly coincide with the start of his joint Grand National tour with SZA. Speaking of collaborations, there's no denying that Kendrick and SZA are the music industry's hottest power duo right now. Every time they drop new music, they dominate the charts. It's almost a given at this point. She even teased a collab album with Kendrick Lamar on a social media post when she was replying to a fan recently. Now, if you can recall, she was one of the first to hint at Kendrick's surprise project last year, which turned out to be GNX. Could she be dropping another clue about what's coming up next? There's no doubt that she maintains a close relationship with K-Dot. She absolutely respects him, and she probably knows more about his plans than most people. If she's teasing something, it's worth paying attention to. A joint album from these two ahead of the Grand National tour would make perfect sense. But with Kendrick, you never really know. He thrives on keeping us guessing. All signs right now point to 2025 being a monumental year for Kendrick. From the GNX Deluxe release in February to the possibility of a joint project with SZA, it's highly likely that he'll drop at least one or two major projects this year. And if there's one thing we never have to doubt, it's the quality of Kendrick's music. If anything, Kendrick has given us even better bangers in recent times. We are about to witness a rapper at the peak of his prime in such a way that we've never witnessed before. Drake's prime was impressive, but much of his success revolved around him alone. Kendrick, on the other hand, is shaping hip-hop as a whole. His next moves are poised to be culture-defining moments. 2024 was massive, but 2025, it could be absolutely breathtaking. Now over to you hip-hop fans. What are your thoughts on Kendrick dropping some fresh new bangers this year? Would you be hyped for a collab album with SZA, or is there another project you'd love to see from K-Dot? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you made it this far, you clearly enjoy this content, so don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more intriguing updates in hip-hop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.